and knowing that if he saw it, he would just literally just be like, oh. But yeah.
Slap somebody.
So that is the biggest thing is when, because people in the church, you know, he is the big guy in the church. And if they want to know something about David Miscavige, you know, anybody does it. You want to know about something, just go to Google and type in their name. And, you know, it's like when you type in David Miscavige's name on Google, this stuff comes up. And if you go to YouTube, it's just like, it's insane. So, you know, yeah, there's absolutely the ones with, you know, I know, everybody knows the ones with Dave and Tom Cruise flying through the air and, you know, one's riding the other. It's just those things. Those are the things that just drive him crazy.
Well, I look for ways to drive him crazy. The cat just pulled the phone. Hang on.
Well, I'm still here.
I lost you for a second. Sorry. The cat just yanked the phone out of my ear.
Oh, long cat is long.
That cat is old.
Old cat is old.
He's like 17 years old, and he looks like an old man. So I have a question. You know, this is just sort of speculative. What do you think would be the one kind of, I know there's not one thing that's going to destroy the church, but what do you think would be the most demoralizing thing at this point for those who are still trying to hold it all together? Is it the numbers growing? Is it the continuous protests every month? I mean,
I think that is the most effective thing, because you got to dig. These local churches, they don't make any money right now. They're already empty. They don't have people doing stuff. They're already dragging ass on trying to get anything done. And if they're now spending a majority of their time trying to figure out what they, you know, when these flash raids happen, that just totally messes with them, because when they know that something's going to happen, they can basically tell everybody, don't come to the church this day, because there's going to be these SPs spouting Xenu stuff. You gotta keep the Xenu stuff going, because that's the thing that a Scientologist is not allowed to hear or not allowed to see, because that's what's in OT3, and Scientologists believe if they hear anything on OT3 before they get to it, then you know, they're going to go crazy, you know.
Right.
Even though, I mean, on the internet right now, you go to WikiLeaks, they've got like all of the OT levels in one PDF. You know, you could read all of the Scientology confidential things in one sitting right now, and not die or go crazy. But so the flash raids. The flash raids are totally, they can't predict them, and they don't know when that's going to happen. And when people start showing up and going, Xenu, 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 I mean, there was like, when I was at the Int base, one guy would show up. One guy shows up with a picket that says Xenu. We had to stay inside all day and all night until he left. Like, we couldn't even go outside. They were worried we're going to see his little picket sign that said Xenu on it. And that was it. We couldn't go outside. So the same thing happens when you go to these little local little podunk orgs. They can't have people seeing Xenu and body thetans. Like, that's another thing. The body thetan thing, most Scientologists, they just know of thetan, and you are a thetan, and that's your soul. It's only when you get into the higher OT levels, like OT7 and stuff, well, you find out, oh, you have thousands of alien thetans infecting you, and those are body thetans. And so when you say body thetan, that's another thing. They can't hear body thetan. They can't hear Xenu. These are all the things that they're not allowed to let their parishioners hear or see. So having these flash raids is just that extra thing that they don't know. They do not know what to do about it. They have no way to deal with it. And it just makes it so they were not making any money before. Now there's just like no chance they're going to make any money. So hopefully, and hopefully if more people speak out and more people, you know, come forward and more people do interviews or more people put videos up on YouTube that were in the church and tell what happened, then the more people that do that, it's going to get really hard for people like Tommy Davis to get on CNN and say there's no such thing as disconnection, and then people are going to be like, well, then why is there a website called Scientology Disconnection? You know, like, how does that work? You know, somebody made a whole website about something that doesn't exist? and there's 10,000, Google results for Scientology disconnection that talk about all these horrifying stories of families being broken up and, all these things. That is all because there's no such thing as disconnection. People are going to see right through his bullshit.
Hey, Mark, people want to. There's a few people who have questions. One of them was, what's the best way to approach a Scientologist to not scare them if you really just want to sort of, get through to them, so to speak, bridge that gap between, Sino-speak and normal person, and you just want to kind of, hey, how's it going? Let me talk to you a little bit. What do you think is the best way? Since you were a Scientologist, what would be the most effective way to have approached you in your mindset?
I think the best thing would be to tell them, listen, I'm not trying to attack you, the Scientologist, but your leaders or your management are doing things that are against what L. Ron Hubbard said to do. Like, they are doing things that they're not telling you about, and there's things going on that are not per what L. Ron Hubbard. The basic thing that you got to do to convince a Scientologist is that basically the church is doing things that aren't per L. Ron Hubbard's teachings. If they just get that into their head, or they get that little spark or that little question mark planted, then they'll get on the internet. As soon as a Scientologist gets on the internet and they start reading stuff, then very, very quickly the house of cards starts to fall apart, because then they see, wait a minute, Mark Yeager, the COCMO International, is a declared SP and has been since 2000, and all these senior people that they know of that are icons in their eyes, when they see this stuff about these people on the internet, and when they hear and see the stories about David Miscavige, it's not going to be a far stretch for them to believe those things, because he's so hardcore, and there's so many Scientologists that are scared of him or scared to do something for the chance that they might cross his path or do something that he would find out about and then write down, and all those kind of things are things that would, if they were to get on the internet, or but you got to be totally cool with them. You got to just be like, yo, man, dude, listen, these guys are doing stuff that's not per LRH, and it's all over the internet. It's not made up stuff. It's real stuff, because that's the first thing the Scientologists say when you say something is that, that's just some made-up stories on the internet. Those are just things that stories people make up. You got to be like, no, dude, these ain't stories, dude. Because almost all Scientologists know of somebody who got declared and couldn't talk to their family, or they don't have the they all know of somebody who something's happened to that it didn't seem totally right to them. They all know of some instance. There's multiple instances of that. And it's been a long time since this nanny watcher program was installed on Scientologist computer, and pretty much any of them could go to any one of these sites. So if you say that, RTC is off source, or RTC is lying, or int execs have been declared SPs, or any of these things, it's going to get the Scientologists going like, they're gonna get curious. It's not 10,000 people don't show up every month for no reason. There's some reason that's making these people show up.
Well, absolutely. There's so many questions in the chat room I can't even keep.
I know. I'm trying to kind of keep up with them as they come in. I'm trying to weave them into the dialogue. But yeah,
you do a good job.
The postcard thing. Everyone's always asking me about these postcards. What's the deal? Okay, well, yeah, it's an awesome idea, but you got to dig. Anything that gets mailed to the churches, it gets checked by security before it gets to the person. So these people are, like, when I was getting mail, I would get it opened. It gets opened and read and scanned before you even get it. They read through everything. So if somebody writes to you and says, dude, you got to get out of there, that place is crazy, they worship aliens, that person's never going to see that thing. in the middle of, at least you get the security people, but you got to put Xenu and you